This is wonder. Perseverance and dedication to overcoming a challenge. Students not only want to see their success in all the things they create in your class, but they want to know that they achieved it because of their hard work. They want to own it. As educators, the best thing we can do is give them the tools to create.
Circle. 0 sides. Triangle. 3 sides.
Some of the lessons I've made with the Makey Makey include children's books that kids need to program so that the book will read to them. I've had them create lessons where they've had to make controllers for video games for children with impairments. I've had them create new instruments and ways to use them. So an example would be painting on a canvas that's able to play music while you're doing it. All sorts of different unique artistic and technology ways of thinking. The Makey Makey really is truly the go-to for inventions. So you want to know what the Makey Makey is, I'm sure. The Makey Makey is a circuit board that allows you to connect anything conductive to it, and it instantly replaces your keyboard with whatever you've invented. The first year that I got one of these guys, I only had one, and it seemed to be perfect for what I needed at the time. I was using it for the science fair, and the kids just exploded with excitement. It turned my science fair totally around, and it was such a refreshing thing to see the students wrapping their mind around everything that I wanted them to, and stretching themselves in new ways that I never thought they would. So, of course, I went and was like, okay, I need more money because I need to buy a whole lot more of these. And I'm glad that I did, now that I have a full set for my room. It's just one of those projects that kids are talking about before they even get to my classroom. They're like, oh yeah, you're the Makey Makey guy, right? And I was like, yeah, that's me. We're going to be doing that. And that's a really cool thing to have.
So the kit includes the Makey Makey. It has the instruction manual in it in case you would want to look something up. It has a host of these alligator clips, so the students can clip in different conductive materials. And it also has these little wires. Those little white wires are for the more advanced user. But if you're feeling adventurous and you're ready to go into something new, instead of clipping things on the front, here where these holes are, you can actually include those with these outputs in the back, on the back of the board. So the outputs are connected to the left side here that has the keys W, A, S, D, F, and G, and on the other side you have an additional command for your up, down, left, right, right mouse click, and left mouse click. The bottom set is your ground, and the top set are access points for various inputs. So if you wanted to, for example, use one of the LED lights that we got for our project this year, you could. So I can set one of these LED lights up, and when a student presses a command, I can simply, have this connected to the back. Now you're like, well, how do I connect it? Well, if you wanted to, you could just take these little wires here and slide them in. They go in pretty simple. So you just slide in the wire, and on the back end of it is where you'd clip your alligator clip. Now, we're not going to do that today, but that is what the white wire is for. So today what we're going to do is we're going to use a program one of my student groups made for the project I had to create this year. Oops, forgot to mention these USB cords. That's how you connect it to the computer. That might help, right? But the project, the students needed to have a controller that a student or anyone with a disability could play a video game that you normally would play two-handed. Or if we wanted to, we could do the cardio type style game. So I gave them two choices. There are several more, but those were the basic premises of them. And they went in and, used scratch. I have a couple example pieces of conductive materials. I have a quarter, a washer, and a paper clip. Those are what I'm going to connect to my Makey Makey today. So for my arrow keys, we're just going to go 3 simple commands. I'm going to have my quarter be the right arrow. I'm going to have my paper clip be the left arrow. And I'm going to have my washer be the up key, which they programmed to be the jump. So I've got my 3 items plugged in for my example today. And I now have to plug in the most important piece. The most important piece is the ground. In order for a person to play with a Makey Makey, they have to be part of the circuit. So I've got another set of clips here. I'm going to hold on to one in my left hand, and I'm going to clip the other one here on the ground. This bottom bar right here is the ground, and you can pick any of them. They all work the same. So now that I have it set up, I can now connect my USB to the back. Right here is the connector. It just goes right in, slides in, easy. And I can plug it into the computer. You'll see the lights go through the cycle to make sure everything is connected. So lights on the Makey Makey were lit up. And I know it's connected because on the back I've got a nice red light there for me to see that it's plugged in. Alright, so let's get ready to play our game. I've got this in my left hand. I'm going to go to my game page. And I'm just going to hit the green flag and I'll know it started. So the game is playing, and when I touch my buttons here, I'll get my Mario character to move across the screen. Oh, so they've signaled that to die. Now, clearly it's going to take me a minute to figure out how to, master the game, but you get the idea.
Is he cute?
Yes, he's a baby. Hey, where you going?
You want your students to instantaneously fall in love with your lesson? Bring one of these little guys out. These are the Ozobot Evo, so they are a little noisy, but they still act and operate just like the Bit does. When I brought these out the first time for my students, they were immediately mesmerized, as was my daughter in that clip. She's 3 at the time, and she fell in love with it instantly, and I can see why. They're super engaging, and they definitely are easy to use. That's part of it. They can take it real far when it comes to the coding. If you really want to go there, it can get really complicated. Or if you want to keep it light and just use markers and focus on the content that you have in mind, they're perfect for that too. Hello, let me show you how to Ozobot. So if you are getting ready to Ozobot, first of all, you're probably wondering, how do I even make this little guy do what he wants? If you're unfamiliar with what an Ozobot is a small little robot that will follow code commands that you draw on paper. It also can follow a program that is designed online to make it operate through code online, which is known as Ozoblockly. And you can load it into the Ozobot and run it without paper. But first things first, we need to know how to make those codes. You'll need some white paper, a ruler, I suggest, and 4 color markers. The 4 colors you're going to need are green, red, blue, and black. I'm using Crayola because the chisel tip on it is perfect for lines, and it's also a marker that doesn't tend to bleed through paper. When you're drawing the lines, the thing you want to know and understand is that the Ozobot likes clean, crisp lines. Flat, perfect, straight lines. They're the best. You could do freehand, but then sometimes people get wavy, or they get thin lines by accident, or if you're trying to do it from the side, or you're doing it straight on, it might not be thick enough. So these we tend to avoid. I suggest flat against a ruler. So if I change the color, the Ozobot should respond with a color change. I'm going to line these up. And then finally we'll end here with a black line. All right, so now that I've got some colors, I can turn on the Ozobot. When you first get the Ozobot out at your station or at your desk or whatever, the first thing you're going to want to actually do is calibrate using a calibration dot set for the lighting that you're working in. If the light change is severe enough or drastic enough, it will cause issues with the Ozobot. So to calibrate it, you turn it on by squeezing the side button, and then you're going to want to take and hold down the side button until it flashes. Put it on the dot, and when it turns green, you're ready to go with your Ozobot. Put that on over here. So if we try out the Ozobot, put it on our little line. Oops, there we go. He will follow our line, changing color as he goes, right? Now, what most people are ready to do at this point is actually put some codes down to understand, or to get your Ozobot to understand what to do. Here's an example of a code page. So there's some hazard, cool moves, sort of directional things if you're going to use a multi-course path. If you're just using a one straight line, then you can use just speed codes and that should be enough. What I mean by multi-directional path is something that looks like this, right? If you have something like that, you're going to want to have it go right, left, or whatever. But today, for simplicity, let's use some speed codes. If you have one of these sheets, you can look at this, and if you need to, you can look at the online section. But I'm going to try to make this Nitro Boost work, right? You'll notice with all the codes that they start and end with a black segment. That is super important because it indicates to the Ozobot that a code is coming. So here I am going to be going from blue to green to red. So I'm going to start off my line segment with the black piece. And then I'm going to go blue to green to red. And you're going to go, well, wait a minute, why is he doing it in circles? I see that he has squares on the sheet. You'll find that when you start to draw these codes, inconsistency, where it's either too long, too short, or it hasn't been lined up properly. So it's something like this with a big chunk missing, really messes with the Ozobot. So we want to avoid that if we can. So I suggest using the little circles. All right. And then we connect the black line. We should go. I might have messed up and made that red dot too dark. We'll see. All right. If so, I'll show you how to fix it. All right, here we go. Here comes our Ozobot. Will it turn? Yep. It's going to follow our code. And then it sped up. It boosted. Perfect. Now, if you had a mistake and it just wasn't working for you, you want to avoid whiteout. Whiteout will get into the drivetrain of the Ozobot, and it can really mess with it. You can't really cover it up with more colors because the darker you make it, the more it looks like a black line to the Ozobot. So the best thing to do if you actually messed up is to simply cut out a piece of paper, lay it over the segment you want to redraw, tape it down on the edges way out here where the Ozobot won't roll over, and then redraw your line. That's the best way, to be honest. All right, well, I hope that helps you out with your Ozobot Basics 101. So what's the big takeaway? You shouldn't be afraid of technology. A lot of us fall into the trap and we think, oh, I don't have enough time, or this lesson isn't perfect for that situation with that certain technology, or I don't have a subject matter that is going to lend itself well to this. And if you look hard enough, research deep enough, you'll find something. The Ozobot and the Makey Makey have been on the market long enough that there's just about any lesson for any grade, for any subject that you can think of. And you should embrace it and keep inspiring your students and be open-minded with it. If you approach them and say, I'm not sure what I'm doing, but I want us to try something new, more than likely your students will jump on board. I know that's how every single time I've ever introduced something new to my class, as far as technology goes, I'm open with them right up front, and I'll say, hey, we're going to try this, and it might work, it might not, but we'll learn from it. And because of that, they blow me away with what they can create, and every year it gets better. So hopefully you're open-minded to it and you'll be using technology soon. Again, I'm Toby Spalding. I teach at Davis Middle School. Thanks again for listening to me today. If you feel like you need any help with any of this or you're interested in learning more, don't hesitate to ask. Email me and I'll send you whatever I've got. And good luck with your new technology adventure.